What is it? It's the study of motion. What are the primary parts of kinematics? Velocity and acceleration. We can demonstrate the different principles of kinematics using our Magic Racetrack of Science! But what is velocity? Velocity is when you travel a distance over a time. So, that's velocity. But what's acceleration? I'll show you acceleration. Acceleration is the process of going from one velocity to another velocity. For instance, when I put the car on the track, it's not moving. But as it goes down the track, it goes faster. But acceleration is not only positive. I can not only go from 0 to something, I can also go from something to 0. For instance, if I push this track along, you can see that it stops eventually. That's a negative acceleration, because it stopped over a distance over time. In kinematics, we have three primary equations that we use. One, we can solve for velocity using acceleration and time. Another one, we can solve for how far we're going to go using velocity, acceleration, and time. And if you don't know what time it is because you don't have a watch on, you can solve for how fast you're going to go using this equation. And by the way, you can also solve that one for distance. Incredible, isn't it? Now we're going to talk about dynamics. What is dynamics? It is the study of forces. No, not that kind of force. I'm talking about the force in the real world. The kind of force that makes things accelerate. Like if it's an airplane going down the runway. Or your car down your driveway. Or things just falling. Ow! Two forces that we experience every day are the gravitational force and the normal force. The gravitational force is the force of gravity on everything on this planet ever, such as you, me, and these cars. The great thing about the gravitational force is it accelerates all things equally, which means that heavier things have a higher force acting on them, but even though it is heavier, it will still accelerate at the same rate. Allow me to demonstrate. I'm going to drop these cars, and they will hit the floor at exactly the same time. One of those other forces you experience daily is the normal force. Now, this is the force of objects resisting other objects pushing on them. For instance, the floor is resisting my motion to go through it because of the force of gravity. It's pushing up on me with a normal force. The normal force is important because it's how we calculate friction using this equation. Remember, the gravitational force for each one of these is different, and that is important because it changes what a force we call friction. Friction is the resistance of objects moving. For instance, this is a light car. It does not weigh as much as this train. This car will go faster down this track even though gravity is trying to accelerate them both at the same rate. Now, if the laws of physics hold up, this train, even though I'm dropping it from the same place with the same amount of gravity, should go slower down the track because it weighs more and the frictional force will be more. See, the heavier train did not go far or as fast as the lighter car because its frictional force was higher, because its gravitational force was higher, and the normal force pushing back up on it was also higher. There are also three laws we're supposed to follow that were made up by this guy called Newton.
Newton's first law states that every object at rest or in motion wants to stay in that place unless it's acted upon by an outside force, like this ball getting hit by this block. His second law states that we can calculate the force of every reaction, and his third law states that for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction equivalent to the mass of each object.
Kinematics and dynamics are great because you can use them to work together to solve things. You can take forces and solve accelerations in kinematics, or you can take kinematics and use them to solve forces, or you can use them together to watch cars go down tracks and then calculate the mass of the Earth. It's amazing! You can use science and physics for everything! So I hope you use what you have learned from this video to help you along in life and use science and math thingies to help you solve all kinds of crazy things you might not even need to know you have to solve. Thanks again for watching!